You're like the sunny in the month of May, drink you down to rejuvenate. I love that we give each other space, but not too much, cause we don't wanna be away from each other. And I don't want you getting close to another. Don't need nobody in your face, all up in your space, trying to take my place. Yeah, you remind me of the summertime. You see me looking cause you're so fine. It's evident I lost my mind the very moment you said you were mine. Any other just wouldn't do. I wanna be right next to you. You flakes with me and I flakes with you. I get stuck on your every word. I love what you're telling me. I want you all to myself. Please excuse my jealousy. Your smile is like the sunshine, shining down right on my head. Yes, I'm really digging you. Come lay in this flower bed. What's up, y'all? I'm Jake Exavier, and welcome to the Jake Exavier Spotlight. I'm Jake Exavier, and I heard my very first guest, choreographer Guyton, is in the building, so I'm about to go get him right now. What's going on, man?
Yo, what up, what up? Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Yo, what's been good, what's been good?
Nothing much. What's going on with you?
Yo, it's been crazy, but you know, we here. All right. Oh. All right. Let's get into it.
So, how have you been? How you been, man?
Yo.
What's been going on?
2021, huh?
2020 was a tough year. It's good to be here.
No, but I can't complain. You know. Given the craziness and the challenges, you know, we still here. We still working. So,
right.
So you know, that's a blessing. That's a blessing for sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
What about you? How you been?
I've been doing pretty good. You know, I can't complain. You know, it's good to be here. Good to still be working. Good to be sitting here. You know, getting into new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
So, you know, let's get into it a little bit. I want you to tell the people, you know, a little bit about yourself, you know?
Okay. Yeah, so about me. So, born and raised in Los Angeles. And what's it called? You know, just moved back home not too long ago. But, you know, I was gone for about I was gone for about 11 years. Yeah, so I left to go to DC for college.
Okay.
And I moved to New Orleans.
So what college in DC did you go to?
So I went to Georgetown University.
Georgetown.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, that was a vibe. Spent 4 years there. First time really away from home for that long. And I said, well, why not? Let's just keep it going.
So what inspired the move to New Orleans?
What inspired? So, yeah. So I first started out teaching. Actually, yeah. So when I first moved to New Orleans, I was teaching kindergarten at Success Preparatory. Used to be Wicker, right there on Bienville. So that's what brought me down there. And then you know, I found my people, found my community.
Yeah.
Started creating down there. Started getting more opportunities being down there, and then you know I just kind of stayed. And so, you know, I would still be in New Orleans, but grad school took me to Florida, so that's where I'm at now.
Okay, you're in Florida?
Yeah, Tallahassee, Florida. So I'm getting my MFA in choreography from Florida State.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, what connections did you discover, you know, between all of the different places that you live?
Yeah, whew. There's like a thread, there's a line that kind of goes through all, right? So I think, first when I think about just dance, right? Like the styles that I picked up.
Yeah.
So starting in LA, right? Growing up, you got crump and then jerking. I was like, those are the two styles that I sort of really got into. Crump was first, you know, being on the playground, kids start crumping, you know, outside the house, after school, and you're like, whoa, what's that? So that was kind of like the first style that I really picked up, got into, that kind of sparked my interest in dance. And then come middle school, high school, jerking was like the big thing, right? And so it's interesting because there's actually, like jerking is all with the feet mainly, right?
Okay.
And so that was where my interest or where my footwork comes from, right? And then when you think about New Orleans and you got second line, so that's footwork too, right? So then I'm at second line, like watching, I'm like, wait, like okay, like I know my feet can do. So so I was starting to sort of see and draw the lines between that. And then when DC, being in DC, that's where I was exposed to Baltimore club music and dance styles like that. So that's more upper body, but still kind of that vibe, still kind of what's it called? Still kind of like the staccato that you would find in jerking.
Right.
So there's definitely a through line, but I feel like I sort of now today kind of have picked up a little bit from each of those styles and kind of blended them together. So I play in and out, but I would say like dance wise, that's definitely where I'm seeing some of the connections, some of the through lines for sure. Yeah.
So who would you say are some of your inspirations? Like, who did you look up to?
I mean, first and foremost, really my friends, right? Like my friends are my biggest inspirations. I feel like I'm mostly inspired by people around me who I see grinding, hustling, working, creating, because it lets me know that it's possible, right? I don't need to sit and wait. So my friends definitely inspire me. They push me, they challenge me, they grow me. I evolve because of the community that I'm a part of. But if I take it back and I'm thinking about, young Jeremy sitting, watching TV, watching music videos, definitely Michael Jackson. But then also that time, you have Janet, you have Usher, you have Chris Brown was coming up at that time. So definitely I feel like those are folks I was seeing on TV, and they definitely influenced my movement style, and in terms of storytelling and things like that. And then on the other side of things, I also have to honor sort of, folks in the theater world or the contemporary dance world. So, when I'm thinking about Jawale Willa Jozal or Marjani Forte Saunders or, even like Stephanie McKee, right? Junebug Productions, all of these folks, these heavy hitters that have been in the game, right? And so then I'm also looking at them, and it's kind of, they inspire me because I'm looking at where all the different ways that my career can go, the trajectories that can be laid out for me, and so then these are also kind of closer benchmarks, right? And folks that are closer to my circle, but again, that push me and challenge me, grow me, all of these things. Yeah.
So, speaking of some of those people, you've worked with quite a few people, Junebug, Solange. How were you introduced to some of those opportunities, and what did they teach you?
So it all started with Dancing Grounds. So Dancing Grounds is a nonprofit dance studio in New Orleans, and so back in the day, they used to throw these pop-up shows, these parties, really in the backyard and then at the studio space. And so at that time, I was just in a hip-hop crew, and we would perform kind of one-off sets for parties and things like that. So then Keisha McKee saw one of my performances, and so she was like, yo, have you ever done modern dance? I was like, no, I haven't. She's like, are you interested? I was like, no, not really. But she was like, yo, well, I need a dancer for this project. Are you available? So I was like, all right, cool. I'll give it a shot. So I did that project with her. And then Stephanie McKee came, saw that project. She was like, yo, who's that kid? So that's how I met her and got wrapped up in Junebug. And then, the Solange opportunity, that was a DM. That was I woke up one morning and I just had a DM that was like, hey, this is such and such. I'm from Solange's team. We have an opportunity that we think you might be interested in. Hit us up. So that's where that came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did those opportunities and those experiences teach you?
Say first and foremost, it taught me a lot about my body and in terms of what my body is able to do movement-wise. So like I said, working with Junebug, working with Keisha, that was my first time in any sort of modern or contemporary movement. So it was uncomfortable at first, but I had to push myself, right? And so I learned what my body was capable of doing. I think I surprised myself at certain times. And then it also gave me a confidence to then be able to walk into the room with folks like Solange and understand, okay, here's what I bring to the table, here's what I'm good at, and here's how I can move in these spaces. And so there's an awareness and a confidence that was built that I think has really, really helped me in my career.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the Solange gig, that was like a crash course in a lot, right? Like, that was touring, that was TV, that was like large scale productions and opera houses. So it was like every single project was constantly a huge learning curve. Because there were so many experiences that I've never had. But now with those under my belt, you know, I definitely have a deeper understanding, you know, when I walk in, and depending on what the venue is, the format, understanding how to tailor something to fit to you know, different output, things like that. So yeah.
All right. So out of all of these experiences and things that you've done, what was your most memorable project?
Yeah. Yo, it would have to be, it's actually a year ago today, I want to say, like a year ago today or tomorrow. What's it called? Solange had a show at Sydney Opera House. And it was we were the last performance to go in the Sydney Opera House before they shut it down for renovations. And so, you know, I mean, it's Sydney Opera House, which is, well, it's an opera house, right? So it's a traditionally white space.
Yeah.
And so to have a whole crew of Black artists doing a Black as, you know, like, you know, but to have that vibe in that space and to know that we were going to be the last artist to grace that stage before, you know, before it's renovated, you know, that's legacy, that's history.
Right.
We signed our names into those walls forever. So definitely I think that rises to the surface as one of the most memorable moments, for sure.
Well, definitely congrats for that moment, man. That's great. So, you know, with all of these projects and different things that's going on, you know, with the pandemic coming around and, you know, the shutdowns and lock-ins that's going on, what are some immediate changes that you had to make with the COVID?
I mean, first is I've been creating a lot of stuff in my house, right? And so getting creative around how can I make a space look like something different?
Yeah.
Right? Also getting into film, you know? Who knows when we'll be able to perform live for an audience again. I mean, you know, like I'm sure you're feeling that as well.
I understand.
Right? And so like you don't have that same energy, but also, you know, so it's like, all right, cool, so then film. Like how can I show up my film knowledge, right? So playing around with cameras, understanding framing and all of that, lighting and all that stuff. So also like it's a time, I'm looking at this as like a cocoon, right? It's training season. It's a time to build up the technical knowledge, to build up the industry knowledge so that, you know, when things open up again, when it makes sense for us to be moving and working in the same ways, we ready, right? Like,
Definitely.
but yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a pivot, right? The work isn't coming in like it used to, but then it also creates this opportunity to be like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna make it. Like that thing that I've been thinking about, that concept that I've been sitting on.
Right.
Why am I waiting? Right? Like I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna figure out how to make it work and I'm gonna do it. So I think it definitely is like put me into this mindset of like, I'm gonna figure out how to make it work. Anything is possible, like let's go. So, you know, it's definitely unfortunate and it's been a bummer, but I think there's also been some innovative possibilities that have come out of it that I'm excited about. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So what are some projects that you're working on right now?
So I'm in grad school, so I'm working on my thesis. Yeah. But my thesis is gonna be a performance. So that's looking at clubs and dance floors. And thinking about these spaces as sites of resistance, but also sites of liberation, right? So like when we go out to the club, what's happening in that space? How do we feel free in that space? And then also historically, right? Like I just feel like Black folks always been up in dance halls, like breaking it down. But really, it's how we sustain, right? It's how we sustain our culture. So digging into that. Not sure if that's gonna be a live performance or a film.
Yeah.
I got a film coming out soon. That was with Policy Link, and then it's called We the 1 Million. That was with Michael Questmore, who's a poet based out of New Orleans, actually. And so we filmed a little project last summer. So that should be coming out soon, I think.
Okay.
Those are like the two big projects that I'm working on right now.
I got you.
But like I said, grad school kind of just takes up all of my time. Yeah.
Okay, so, I heard you talk about, sustaining the culture. Mm-hmm. So touching on sustaining the culture and making sure that you sustain your true artistry. I know that in this industry, sometimes, people have a hard time sustaining their true artistry and who they are. So what are some things that you've done to sort of maintain your artistry?
Yeah.
How have you been able to keep that balance?
So I think first off, right, it's again, like just knowing what you bring to the table, spending enough time with I spend a lot of time in my freestyle practice, right? And so in my freestyle practice, I'm learning how I like to move, what looks good on my body, and then also how I communicate my movement to others, right? So that's one thing, right? Being able to walk into a room and advocate for yourself, but then also know this is what I bring, this is what I'm good at, like let me do me. People are always gonna have feedback, and people are always gonna have things to say about your craft and what you put out. But for me, as the artist, it's a take it or leave it.
Staying true to who you are. Like, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what is something you would give, some advice you would give to like your 6-year-old Jeremy?
Yeah. Speak up. Stop shrinking. I feel like early in my career, there are a lot of times where, I'd be in class and they'd be like, all right, who wants to come out and do a solo? Not me, right? Like, I'd be like hiding behind this person and like, if we're doing group or whatever, like I'm in the back of the class, I'm in the corner. And so all of these ways in which like, I was insecure, but I was also like trying to learn and figure out, where I fit in. But if you don't make yourself known, you're not gonna be seen.
Right.
And so I feel like that's definitely a piece of advice that I would give, a younger Jeremy is like, yo, you gotta take the spotlight when it's there because it's not guaranteed to be there forever.
Right.
So I think that's definitely one piece of advice for sure. I think a second piece of advice would be, it's something that I already do, but I think I could do more of. It's just being open to collaboration.
Okay.
Right, and being open to experimenting. Get out of your comfort zone earlier.
Yeah.
See what's out there, take a risk, take a leap. You might fall, but you just slap a Band-Aid on it and you'll be good. So.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit about Viral and Upside Down. You, of course, choreographed both of those songs. So what was the inspiration? How did you come up with the choreography for those?
Yeah, so with both of those, right? I listened to the song over and over and over again.
Thank you.
And not even when I'm dancing, right? To the point, when we did my, like Spotify does like your whole wrapped in a year, whatever.
Yeah.
So this past year, Viral was my #1 played song. Like that's how many times but because I have to get into that world.
Right.
I listen to it when I'm driving, I listen to it when I'm cooking, I listen to it when I'm reading, whenever it is, just so that I understand every aspect of what's going on rhythmically and musically, right? Because I want to be in the pocket usually, right?
Of course.
And then after I listen to it over and over again, there might be one thing, so usually it starts with like one move, right? So there might be one line or one move that I'm like, all right, cool, we gotta hit this, right? Mm-hmm. And then everything kind of ripples out from there. So once I set that, then I'm like, all right, cool, how do we get to this point? And then from there, it's just a freestyle. It's a continuous put the song on loop, I'll freestyle it out. Oh, cool, I like that, I'm gonna keep that, let's go back, do it again, freestyle it out. Oh yeah, and then it just builds from there. I would say also, Viral was the first time that I had to set choreography on women. And so I was thinking about femme choreography. I was like, all right, cool, what would look sexy? Which is, so I was like, so that was the approach there, right? And then obviously when we get into the space, not everything changes, but when we get into the space, you're also then seeing how things look on the dancers themselves. Because I know how things look on me, but you went upside down, right? Like we got into the space and it was like, all right, cool. Like then we got to think about, all right, maybe we want to change that move, or actually in this formation something's got to change, or the orientation needs to move. So yes, I mean that's my approach to building it, right? But it starts with the song first. The song, the lyrics. I'm trying to think about what's the story being told, what's the vibe that needs to come to life, and then I'll get the treatment. So then I'm looking at the treatment. All right, cool. Like that's another story element. How do I incorporate this story? So it's really just trying to bring all these elements together to then movement-wise, right? Add another layer to bring the whole vision to life. Yeah.
All right, well, I appreciate you for coming out.
Yeah.
It was good talking to you. I can't wait to work with you again, man.
Word. Appreciate it. Always a good time.
Good
You
talking
take care.
to you, man.